All right, we are back. And Jake, my friend, I have good news and I have bad news. Which would you like to hear first?
Give me the good news first.
They play the Mavericks on Monday. The Timberwolves, who are inevitable against these horrible teams, play the Mavericks. But no, hello, everybody, worldwide Wolves. Coming to you minutes after the Wolves lose to the Denver Nuggets. Stats are still rolling in because for some reason the stats were down for that game, but they lost. And yeah, we're going to talk about that, talk about the week as a whole, talk about the season as a whole. But I'm Cooper Carlson, co-host of this podcast, and my friend over there, Jake Painting, coming to you from Australia. So, Jake, how you doing? What's your general vibe from this week, and how much was it altered from this game?
Yeah, a lot, which is kind of annoying. But that's just been the way of the season, I guess, is that they are beating these bad teams. And I don't want to minimize beating bad teams because
Yeah,
you have to do it. And you can win a lot of games if you beat the teams you're supposed to beat. But it we are, I think, all fans are kind of struggling to take them serious until they beat someone good. And this was a tough matchup against Denver. Like, it's the second day of a back to back. It's a really good team who's playing really well. But until they win one of these games, every single one of them is going to feel like a bad loss, kind of regardless if there is an excuse. Like, I think if they had beaten the Knicks or if they've beaten the Lakers earlier in the season, you could definitely write this one off as a tough game that was kind of almost a schedule loss. But yeah, that hasn't happened, so it's a bad loss.
yeah, and they moved to 0-5, I think, now against teams that have a record over 500. You could argue this is the most disappointing loss of the year, just the way it went down. The Luca game the Reeves game where Luca and LeBron were out. That's an argument, but this one's certainly up there, just the way it all went down. Horrible, horrible night from Anthony Edwards. Maybe the worst game I've seen him play in quite a long time. The Knicks one, where he came back from injury, comes to mind, but I know he finished with like 23 points, but overall, he just seemed completely lost on the offensive end. Couldn't get an open shot from three, and the first couple he did just clanked off the rim. Really started pressing, couldn't really dribble into the lane, got a few nice layups, but a lot of turnovers. Very frustrating game. I think we'll just start with Ant here tonight and then move into just some other stuff, but the loss tonight to me is on Anthony Edwards. If he,
Really, that's
I
okay.
mean, he
I mean,
shot terribly, man. He was bad. He was really bad.
yeah, yeah,
I
yeah.
mean,
Well,
okay, let me rephrase a bit. Like there were a lot of factors that went wrong that maybe expect that you could have seen going wrong more so or been like
mhm.
prepared for. You don't really see an Anthony Edwards game like this coming, and if he's gonna shoot this poorly, you're rarely going to win. Period, especially against a really good team like this. Does that make more sense?
Yeah, no, it does. I agree with that. And I actually thought he started really well, even when he was not shooting the ball well. And then it kind of seemed to get in his head that his own offense wasn't really coming
The
around.
two threes in the fourth quarter, where he was like fading away, shooting, and they just weren't even
Yeah,
like that was to me just
yeah,
that's when
and
you knew.
yeah, and that first half he was like a massive plus in the plus minus, even though he was kind of terrible, because he was playing point guard and he was running the team well, and like the offense was still working when he was out there. And then I thought in the second half, yeah, he kind of was in his own head about how much he was providing as a scorer, and then it all kind of devolved from there. And as you said, it kind of just kept getting worse as the game went on in terms of pressing. Like, it just felt like he was like, you know, he wanted to make a
Well,
three. Like,
yeah,
the
the
3 point
ball
shot is
kept
such a
stopping when it got into his hands, and it seems like when
yeah.
he's not shooting well, the entire offense seemed to just kind of go on that downward
Mhm.
spiral with him because he is the offense at the end of the day. So
Yeah, yeah.
yeah,
And I thought Denver, the way they defended him was kind of interesting. It was like they were trapping him and doubling him, but it wasn't a trap. It was like one guy was like kind of a meter away, for a foot, 2, 3 foot away from the first defender on him. So they weren't sitting all the way up on him where he could really break that trap like he has been this season. Is better than he ever has. But it was almost like this half trap kind of thing that they were throwing at him, and
did
it
you
seemed
like
like
his
he just.
passing out of it overall?
I liked it in the first half. I didn't
Okay,
like it in
yeah,
the second
yep.
half. Like I said, I think the line between him helping the team as a scorer and him helping the team just running plays, and doing what he has been for the whole season, got a bit blurred there because he couldn't find his own shot. It just felt like he started to press to try and find his own shot. And then yeah, it kind of all went downhill from there. So yeah, I thought it was a smart way they defended him, but I thought he handled it pretty poorly, especially in that second half.
Yeah, I'm with you. I mean, again, like other guys have to be a lot better, and did finish with I think 23. So saying it's all on him is a little, going at him. It's a little frustration, but he didn't play well, and he just overall,
Mm-hmm.
when he plays
And
like
this
that,
team can't, yeah, they can't really afford Ant to not play well, which is
exactly, exactly. And we'll get
a
into the other players of why, I'm sure. So
yeah,
just
yeah.
what happened here tonight, but I guess something we want to do here is structure this podcast a little bit better, because usually we hop on and say, what are we going to talk about? And then we just go. But what I propose, or just what we hope to do, is like a broad overview thing, take of the week, or just take of the entire season thus far that we've come up with this week. And then after that, go into something like, is this real or fake? A trend from this past week. And then at the end, maybe just discuss something under the radar, and we'll each have something. But I'm going to throw it to you to start for this. Your overall, I don't know how I'm phrasing this yet, but just big take of the week or the season so far. Broad overview. What's really on your mind so far?
Yeah, well, I'm going to loop in this game. I guess this is the
Yep.
reason why I was not confused, because I think you were right that Ant was such a big problem in this game. Gobert can't play against good teams, and it's starting to, I think, frustrate
This is mine as
everybody.
well, unfortunately. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, and I've actually been impressed. Even against bad teams, Gobert's always a floor raiser against bad teams, but I think the way he's operating within the offense, not just in terms of storing the ball, but just like the spacing. I know spacing sounds weird with Rudy, but like the spacing around the paint, the way he's setting screens, the way he's operating off the short roll, like all of those things I think have been better than ever against bad teams. And then every time they play a good team, I think he's been close to the worst player on the court. And I know tonight was different because I thought he was really bad defensively as well, which hasn't really been an issue. But he's not giving them any value. I thought he was the worst player on the court tonight by far.
Yeah.
Every time he went off the court, they went on a run, and that was partly because Randall was defending really well in this game, and was clearly the better option on Jokic. But I just thought that Gobert, like, he's not rebounding the ball. That's a huge issue. He can't do anything offensively. All of the cool things they kind of get to offensively when he's out there against these bad teams, they can't get to it because I don't know. Like
Well,
the
because he's horrible. Like that first, was it the
yeah,
first or second possession? Like he gets the ball when they're playing the 2-3 zone, and he gets a one on. Jokic is just sitting under the rim, and if it's Sabonis, you can just do a floater. If it's Jokic, you can floater. But
yeah.
Gobert has no touch, so he dribbles in, slams into Jokic, and the ball rolls out of bounds, and it's just like immediately all momentum is halted, and yeah, he can't do anything on offense in the zone. It's like he'd never seen it. He was completely flummoxed by this zone, man. It was
Mhm.
unbelievable.
Well, and the whole team was bad against the
Yeah.
zone. But yeah, the rebounding concerns me probably even more because teams are just dominating the glass when Gobert's out there. These good teams, um, there's just no flow in terms of you can't give him the ball on the short roll and him make a decision. I don't know why that goes away against good teams. Maybe just because they're better at executing their defensive rotations that he kind of hesitates. Because as soon as you hesitate on that short roll, the opportunity to kind of kick a pass out to the corner or to quickly make a dump off to a cutter on the baseline, like that goes away if you hesitate. And it seems like he overthinks when the defense is a little bit sharper. And then yeah, he's touching on the rim. He missed that layup tonight that was
Oh my gosh.
like
Poor dude.
he needs to start dunking the ball. That's the
His
like
hand was
that's
above the rim and he missed
yeah,
it.
just dunk the ball, dude. And I don't want this to like I don't think we've really been a shit on Gobert kind of podcast. Like I think we both, I mean, especially defensively, it's like it's hard to deny how important he's been to this team. And I think he's actually had one of his better defensive seasons, in the last 4 years, apart from the defensive player of the year season. I think the start of this season has been better than any other time with Minnesota. But against these good teams, I'm trying to weigh up what is, like what is real and what's fake, kind of. And that's our next segment. That's probably what I should have used it for. But I'm just
Right.
like, I don't
That's
I
funny.
don't know I don't know how to analyze this because he's close to unplayably bad against good teams, and he's might be their best player against bad teams. Like it's such a huge extreme between one and the other.
Yeah, and you know whatever you take from game score on Basketball Reference as a stat, all of the worst ones are obviously against the really good teams. It's just the
Hmm.
eye test matches the stats here, and I'm really frustrated by it because I came into today with my big thing as like, oh, Gobert had a really good week. I thought the three previous okay, well, a couple of the previous games here were really really good. Like the first Kings game from this week, I think it was his best game of the season. I thought he
Hmm.
was playing offensively extremely smart at the top of the key. He was helping get open looks for threes, just everything looked great. He was defending Sabonis well for once. Like Sabonis went 5 of 17 the first game. And just now I'm sitting here like who cares, man? Like who cares? Like he can't
Yeah.
play against these good teams.
And that's
And
the thing, is that
yeah,
it's hard to like he's so important to this team. Him being a good player is so important to this team. I think that's why it's so noticeable. But that
yeah.
the good version of Gobert makes this a really, really good team. And the bad version makes it like an okay kind of middle of the pack at best team.
Has
And
he ever been like good against the Nuggets when he's been with the Wolves here? Like it seems
well,
like
that's the
Carl's
thing.
always been the Jokic
Yeah,
matchup.
and
So
the
it's
Nuggets, yeah, he can't guard Jokic. Like I
yeah,
don't really know what it is, because like you watch Julius Randle out there, who was clearly better. I mean, Jokic is obviously one of the best players of all
right.
time. Um, but Randle, you could see that he was making him work, and that kind of it made the offense uncomfortable. The problem with the Nuggets is that Jokic Jokic looks to be a scorer when Gobert's on the court. Like he sees that as like
True.
other teams see Rob Dillingham, you know, like for some reason he knows that Gobert can't guard him at all. So that becomes an issue. He fouls a lot against the Nuggets always. Um, I don't think, again, it's the same as the wins and the losses. As this isn't really like him being dominated by Jokic isn't a new thing and isn't a problem in general, because everybody gets dominated by Jokic, you know, like, and that's not a new problem for Rudy, but it's that these games are stacking up where he's not good against DeAndre Ayton, like he's not good
Yeah.
against Mitch Robinson. Um,
Game 2 against Sabonis this week, he was
Game
not
two
good.
against Sabonis, yeah, like it does seem like these tough matchups he's losing pretty consistently, um, and I don't know. Today really frustrated me, because I just thought that even his one would, even defensively, where kind of, you know, you can always guarantee that Rudy's at least going to be better than the alternatives defensively. He was the worst player on the court tonight. I thought by a long way, to be honest. I just thought that it was noticeable that every time he was on the court, the offense got so much worse, the defense got so much worse. He was fouling. He was clearly frustrated as well. Like, yeah, I don't know. It's just we it's one of those things we need to see, I guess. Like, it's the same as, yeah, the wins and the losses. Until we see it, it's hard to take it seriously.
Yeah, I mean the stats. He had 4 turnovers, 4 or 5 fouls. That was weird, but it was
4 turnovers is ridiculous. He probably touched
for a
the
guy
ball
that doesn't touch the ball.
eight
Yeah,
times for the
exactly.
game. Like,
He had 4 points, 4 turnovers, and just a couple of the worst misses I've seen. And again, like I'm, maybe coming off more frustrated than I need to be, or not. Like I could be rightfully frustrated, but I
mhm.
really came into this today being like, all right, Rudy's turned a corner. Even I was at the beginning of the season was like, okay, I mean, I see he may have lost a step, and then last podcast I was like, okay, maybe I was wrong, but no, it's just the good teams, man. There, he's just getting completely bullied against them, and it is what it is. Like they play the Suns in the third game of this coming week, and it's not like the Suns are good, but they're 7-5. So like we'll see what happens there. But between
Yeah.
then and now, we get the Mavericks and the Wizards, and Rudy will get 20 points, 15 rebounds, 8 blocks, and we'll go whoa. So it's gonna be really great.
Yeah, the Suns and I mean the Mavs maybe not as much, but the Suns are the first time maybe that they've played a team who is like in the right in the middle. It feels like they've played really good teams
Yeah,
and they've
Suns are
played really
seven and
bad
five,
teams. Yeah,
and I
and
just can't get a
maybe,
read. Yeah,
yeah, and they're a bit, that might be overinflation a little bit on what they actually are, but they play hard, and they look like a real team now that KD and Beal have left. Like they're a dangerous team. So
they got some life, man. Dylan Brooks, he's
yeah,
he's,
like
he's a
that would be a
guy.
good test for the team, for Gobert. Like in terms of, can they, what are they against a team that, to be honest, I would have around the same as them right now. Like I
Agreed.
can't bring myself to believe in this team fully, and I want to, because I watch these games against the bad teams, and like they win against bad teams like good teams usually do. You know, like really good teams
And usually
usually,
their mantra is that they beat the good team. So it's like,
yeah,
why is it
yeah.
so flipped all of a sudden?
But until they have one single good win for the season, it is hard to believe that they aren't just, kind of um, flat track bullies.
Yeah, it's very frustrating. So that's the Rudy Gobert segment. It went about exactly as I expected it to after watching that game, and it's really unfortunate because yeah, I had a lot of positivity going in, but we'll see, man. I mean, the Mavs actually might be a tough challenge considering they got Lively and Gafford that are big guys, but
Yeah.
I don't know. They're horrible, so we'll see. Um, my thing was also Rudy Gobert, but I did loop it in watching tonight's game just with the other big man, Nas Reed, who now has had two consecutive better games. Tonight he started off really hot. I think 4 of 5 from three starting off. Second half, not as good. Defensively, still not great. Obviously, he's just never going to be. But seeing Nas Reed at least start to put the ball in the basket a bit more consistently and just have an energy or a fire back with him after, understandably so, a very slow and sad start to the season, honestly, for him. So seeing Nas tonight come out with some life and energy, shooting well when the rest of the Wolves kind of were struggling, and yeah, inject that life was nice. Second half was really just I guess how did he do in the second half overall with points? Let's see here, but
Yeah, I don't know. I'm
finished
still
with
struggling.
19 and like yeah, I mean it
Yeah,
was
only
not
two
great,
points
but
in
the
the
second
second
half
half.
was bad for the
And
entire team.
yeah, and I thought that I don't think he was like overtly bad in the second half, even
No,
if the scoring kind of tailed off. It didn't feel like Nas was out there. Like it was like a frustrating Nas game in the second half. So it was really nice to see him string. I think he played 17 straight minutes in the first half.
they needed him to, yeah.
Yeah, so it was nice to see him kind of string together a really long stretch where he looked like Nas Reed, and the mistakes were minimized, the Nas Reed good things were maximized, and it just seemed like they were, he was back for a minute there. So, and when you're in a slump like this, and obviously the slump has kind of extra things attached to it that are hard to quantify as a fan. If you're not Nas Reed, it's hard to comment on it.
Yeah.
But it was nice to see him just kind of find himself out there because it has been a long time between drinks there. So yeah, I was really happy in the first half. Even if it did tail off in the second half, I think this was the first Nas Reed game where it felt like he was doing all the things that we love him for.
Yeah, absolutely. And we'll see how it goes continuing on. The previous game as well, I think he had around 12 points and was just playing much more comfortably. So, yeah, I
Mm-hmm.
mean, let's see what he can do this week against a couple more bad teams. And Wolves need him to get on a roll here. So, happy for him. Don't have a ton to say, just hope to see it keep rolling. Like what we saw is just, what we hope and expect to see from Nas in this contract and in this role going forward. So, happy with him. Hope he keeps going. It's been a, rough start. And yeah, you got any big Nas
Yeah,
thoughts?
well, yeah, no, I just think that if this is a Gobert thing as well, going back to that he's just not going to affect the game as much against teams that are actually kind of trying to win, then you do need Nas Reed to be at the peak version of himself. Even if he's always going to be kind of bad defensively, or very bad depending on the night, like if he's a really good offensive player, that does make up for some of that at least. And they do need that from him along with Randall. I just thought that Randall was like, if we loop him into that whole big man
Yeah, let's do
conversation,
that.
I thought he was really good again tonight. I thought his defense was the best it's been. I thought it was like I've been saying this for a couple of weeks. I think his defense has been underratedly bad this season. But he's been obviously so insanely good, like offensively, that you can kind of carry a bad defender like that if he is giving you like all NBA numbers on the other end. So yeah, I thought it was nice to see Randall really step up and take the challenge of Jokic tonight. He got beaten on a few switches and things like that, which is just normal. That Jamal Murray's tough to contain. So, but in terms of stopping Jokic or battling, the amount of times he battled with Jokic in the post and they never even got it in to
Yeah.
Jokic,
Yep.
like that's the kind of stuff I think I want to see Gobert kind of do. Like really fight defensively. And maybe it's just body type, like Randall's stocky and kind
We've
of,
just seen so
low
many
center of
guys that
gravity.
aren't Rudy. Like when they have to defend Jokic, they just go into complete desperation mode, right? And it like
Hmm.
works. And I don't know, it's like Rudy just tries to play the exact style of defense that he can play against centers that aren't Nikola Jokic. And obviously
Yeah.
it's just not gonna work. Whereas you put Randall or previously Carl and they're literally like, I need to fight for my life because this is the best player in the world. Like
Yeah,
They attack the
and you might
assignment.
still lose that battle. Like I don't know what Jokic would have had an insane stat line because he always does. Like he had 27,
Triple double. Yeah.
yeah, 27, 12, and 10. So on 8 of 15 shooting. So it's not like he had
But
a
he had
bad game.
55 the other night. Like, you gotta
Yeah,
take
like
this.
and it just felt noticeable. And
Yeah.
I thought Nas actually did a pretty good job too. Like he was a bit foul happy around the rim, but I thought he fought really well as well in those minutes where he was switched onto him or just as a help defender because when Jokic catches in the paint, everyone's defending Jokic at that point, and I thought Nas did really well there. I thought Nas was really good rebounding as well, either tapping balls out or grabbing them himself. He only finished with 6, but I just think his rebounding technique and intention has been way better the last few nights. So that's another thing where it's like, if the scoring's not there, or even if the scoring is there, can you do some more of those big man things that we need in those kind of non-Gobert lineups where they do struggle to rebound? So, yeah, I'm really happy for Nas.
Yeah, and it's, we mentioned that these guys, fight against Jokic, but it's really deflating when they fight constantly against Jokic. Gets taken out of the game. Nuggets go on an insane run anyway, and it's just like, oh my God.
Mhm.
Like, and then, it was over in the fourth quarter when Jokic was able to come back and the Wolves couldn't, do anything with him off the floor. So tough
Yeah.
game all around there. And
Yeah, and
defense
just
was
one more
interesting.
thing.
Go
One
for
more
it.
thing
Yeah.
from that game is that, and we'll move on to kind of our other segments in a second. But I don't know. I just thought the line. I've actually been pretty positive, like pro Chris Finch this season. I think that a lot of the blame at the start of the season was a little unfair because it's not his fault that Nas and Julius couldn't. There is
Just
not
couldn't
that
they
much he
even?
can
Yeah.
do with the roster construction. Mike, he did make the Mike for Dante kind of change. I don't know. I think he's been a pretty good. I think the offense has been awesome this season. Like the system, the structure, the plays they're calling. I'll get to something about that in a minute, but
That's why tonight
I
frustrated me so much. Yeah.
I thought he had a really bad coaching night. Like I just thought there was some just weird decisions throughout the game. Like there was the stretch in the first half where no Jaden or Clark was on the floor. Denver immediate. I think Jamal Murray reeled off like
7-0
10.
run by himself, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, like 4 layups in a row. Like that was weird. And then they started the fourth quarter with no Randall and no Ant for the second time in the game. The first time they had no Randall, no Ant, and no Jaden on the court. And it's just like I don't. And both of I don't have the numbers because it's the stats are so weird tonight. But my assumption would be that they probably lost those non-Randall, non-Ant minutes by 15 in this game. Like I think that lost them the game. And obviously, a
Yeah.
lot goes wrong throughout a game to lose. It's not just one thing like that. But I just think you can get away with that against the Kings, and you can get away with that against the Hornets, but you can't get away with it against the Nuggets. And Randall played 42 minutes, so it's not like Ant played 42 minutes too. But if two guys are playing 42 minutes,
How's that even Wow. All right.
it must have been all of their minutes that they didn't play must have been not together.
Interesting.
And the start of the fourth quarter when it's a tie game and it's a really good team, I just think you
And
take it
Jokic
to
is off the floor. Like I don't know. You
yeah,
got to attack.
exactly. And I think that's the logic behind it is
Yeah.
well, Jokic isn't out there, so
Certainly.
both of our two guys can sit, but Murray's out there still, because it's not that hard. It shouldn't be that hard to play one of your two best players at all times. And yeah, the first half with no Jaden out there as well was just insanity. Like they couldn't score for 3 minutes and they couldn't defend. So, and I even thought, and we've both been pretty, I've been pretty happy even with the way he's been using Rob. Like he's it's been intentional to use Rob, I think, this season. Obviously, he's not getting big minutes, but I think he's played him a few times where I've thought, I don't know if Rob is the right option here. And he kind of hasn't been a lot of the time, and he's continued to do it, which I think is.
It's what we've been asking for, so it's hard to sit here and complain about it.
It might only be 8 minutes a night or something, but they're 2 stints consistently.
And tonight, I thought was good from him. Defensively, he was still robbed, but I thought.
And I thought again, I thought he should. I don't know. I thought he should have played more tonight. I think tonight was one of the rare times where it was like Rob seems like he's playing really well, and then he just didn't. He just pulled in for Conley, and he never saw the court again. He had one stint, which I thought. I don't know. Maybe I just thought it was a little bit weird the way he was.
I wonder if Finch would ever play Rob in a game where they're down 6 points to a good team. I feel like there's no way he would ever opt for Rob over Mike in a situation like that.
Well, it
Like,
was yeah
unfortunately,
against a
right
good
now.
team. You're right. Yeah, but there was I think it was in the last Kings game. One night ago, that he put him in the second half. I thought his Rob's first stint was probably as bad as he's ever played. Like he was
Yeah.
so bad in the first half, and it would have been a very defensible position for Finch to just kind of shelve him for the rest of the night. But then he put him back in the second half, and again he wasn't great, but I think it was like a faith that we are committed to giving you minutes. Then he didn't do it in this game, which I thought was a little weird because I thought he had a really good first half, and I thought he actually played really like pesky defense. I think he got maybe two steals on Jokic, one steal and a poke away or something. Like he just seemed like there was energy there. And I'm not asking for that many more Rob Dillingham minutes, but I think it was just in terms of making the point that I just thought Finch kind of struggled to find the lineups that worked tonight and made a few puzzling decisions, which I don't think has been a problem so far this season, really.
Yeah, I mean that honestly that might come down to your two best or most key players, Ant and Rudy, just having very strange nights, and you're just
Mm-hmm.
struggling to figure out where to go from there. But overall, yeah, I'm with you. Very tough night for the entire team, and we'll see, can they beat the Mavericks on Monday? Hopefully.
Mm.
But move on to this next segment, I suppose. Is it real or fake type thing where we just go over a trend that we've been noticing? And I'll take the lead on this one. I want to talk about Dante DiVincenzo, someone who
Mm.
I was kind of going over before the season and saying that we could expect a little bounce back here. And tonight, just to, because I don't have the stats to loop it in for all the stats that I have for tonight, but he had 11 points and 1 of 6 from three. Ball handling, I didn't love. He had a couple turnovers. Just one assist. Like, I didn't love Dante's game tonight by any means, but overall, in November, he's been playing 30 points, 30.7 minutes. His career high in a season is 29 minutes per game, taking 9 threes a game. Career high is 8.7, and he's shooting, the rate at which he's shooting, eighth in the league since November. Like, he's firing away, which is what the Wolves need him to do. Shooting around 38%, which is right in the middle of like guys who take 8 or more per game. And his assist to turnover, which I think is the most surprising, is 4.33, fifth among players with 30 or more minutes. So I'm like pretty high on Dante overall. I think he's using his gravity well. His pace is not high at all. He's playing slow, controlled for the most parts, and has just one game with 3 or more turnovers since opening night after that 6 turnover game. So
Yeah.
overall, I've been pretty happy with Dante as the starting point guard, and Ant's been the de facto point guard, de facto runner of the offense. But I think that's been good for Dante. He's not meant to be the real point guard, and I think he's made the most of his opportunities for the most part. Tonight, 1 of 6 from three. A couple of games ago, another 1 of 6 from three. But between that, I think he's been consistent enough for the Wolves, and at 30 minutes per game, shooting as many threes as he is, I've liked it overall. And yeah, as the starting point guard, I was a bit concerned, even though we were kind of asking for it over Conley, just because they don't have that many options. But yeah, I've liked what we've seen, and I was kind of high on him being much more comfortable coming into this season. So Dante, I like it.
Yeah.
Tonight was rough, kinda. 11 points, 1 of 6 from three. Very strange Dante game, considering I hate when he shoots a 2-pointer. But yeah, I'm liking it so far. Let's see what happens against these bad teams this week, and then the Suns.
Yeah, well, that was actually my one as well. Was
Really?
Dante? Yeah, yeah. And the
I
point
guess
you
the
made,
question though is like, is it real or fake? So
yeah, yeah, and the point you made at the end, I think, is the one I wanted to touch on because everything you said there, I think, is true. I think he just feels it's weird because they've taken Conley out of the lineup, and I think he's now playing less point guard than he ever has before with the Wolves. Like they've really given Ant and Julius the keys to this offense, and Dante's shooting a lot more off ball threes. He's not running those pick and rolls as much as he used to. Like you said, using the gravity really well. Kind of if he is getting downhill, it's like off the ball, off the catch, and like he's coming off like a quick ball screen rather than bringing the ball up the court and trying to actually run the offense like a point guard. Um, but that last point you make about not liking when he's shooting twos, that's what I really wanted to touch on because, like, I think his 2-point shooting has been a massive improvement this season. Like, he was at 57.1% before this game. Last season, he was at 49%. 57.1% would be the best of his career outside of his rookie season where he played 400 minutes or something total. So like he was 3 of 5 again in this game, so I'm guessing that number's going to go up.
True. He had a
I
couple and
think
ones too. All right,
yeah, and I
okay.
think that's been a thing, like that he is getting to the rim a little bit more often. Not in a way that it's like a real weapon within his game, but I think it's becoming less of a weakness.
Yeah, it
Like
needs to be something. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah, and they are going to press up on him a lot because when he's coming off those off-ball screens or when he's just kind of chilling out beyond the arc and he gets the ball, teams do want to sell out to stop him from scoring, from shooting threes. Like so being able to put the ball on the floor, if it's 2, 3 dribbles, get to the rim, kick the ball back out. He's still a little turnover prone when he tries to do too much, but I think in general I think the fluidity and the rise in this offense, I think a lot of it has been down to DiVincenzo just playing a lot of minutes with the starters. Like I just think he's a kind of a seamless fit with those guys, and because he's not just making a lot of threes, he's also getting to the rim a little bit. He's a little bit more in control, like you said, not as many high turnover games. I just think that DiVincenzo as the catalyst to this offense is a thing right now, and when they play their best, when they score their most points, when they, like the offense looks the best, I feel like DiVincenzo's kind of heavily involved and he's finding ways to do that without just purely being a 3-point shooter. So, yeah, I think I want to lean towards Real because I agree. I think that this is the Dante maybe that we were promised, or at least the version of DiVincenzo who's more of a positive than a negative. But yeah, it is something to keep an eye on because it is such an outlier in his career that he would be a good 2-point shooter and that he would be more than just kind of a chaotic, 3-and-D guy.
The downside with it is that when he is having the off shooting night from three, it's so like deflating. Because the other team, they almost always get the long offensive or the defensive rebound. They kick it out in transition, get an easy layup, and it's like, all right, he's 1 of 4. That one wasn't even that close. It's like, all right, it's not working well tonight, and it is deflating. But overall, it has been, solid. You'd like that percentage to go up a few ticks. I think it's 37.5 in November. So can we get it to 40, 39? That'd be great. But yeah, I mean, I've really been enjoying Dante's game. Let me ask you this. I'll try to phrase it in a way that makes sense. But in the off season, we did a lot of episodes on like, do the Wolves need a real point guard or someone who can be like a more scoring type of player alongside Edwards? Where does Dante fit into that type of scale or like area, I guess, with those type of players? Do you know what I'm saying there?
Yeah, it's a good question. I think maybe like right in the middle of it, where he's maybe a little bit more point guardy just because of the size, like, and the way he is a guy who can bring the ball up the court occasionally. He can run the occasional pick and roll. Like he can do those things a little bit, but it's not his strength. Like it's a weird archetype of that player where if you really are committing to Ant and Julius as the quote unquote point guards, I think you do have room there to try and somehow, if you were kind of fantasy drafting this or like to find like a big wing or a big shooter, like another really good defender. Like I don't think Dante's any of those things, but I do think he's more valuable than like a small, Tyus Jones, even Mike Conley type of point guard. Like I think I'd prefer the Dante archetype next to Ant than that. But I do think he's not. He's kind of further a step or two more than the point guard, but a step or two less than a bigger defender or a bigger shooter or a guy who can tack off the dribble and get to the rim. Like that would be the ideal. If somehow you ended up with the 14th pick in the draft and you ended up at pick 4, like I think you could probably choose like a big wing and just say, all right, Ant and Julius, like the keys are yours now. So that would probably be the ideal situation. But I do think Dante is I think he's making the most of what his archetype is right now, if that makes sense.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And like inserting him into that role, it's not just like a perfect thing because then you take a guy off the bench. It'd be cool to have that player and then have Dante be able to come off the bench as well or something like that instead of just having Dante be that guy overall. But yeah, I mean, yours was Dante as well. Did you have anything else in this segment? Or I think we're both leaning pretty
Yeah,
real with Dante overall.
yeah, I do think real, and I think it's a question because of last season we didn't see these things from him, like the consistency, the ability to impact the game outside of being like, I think even when he's not shooting well, he's still impacting the game. Obviously tonight maybe was a little bit of a step away from that, but even then I thought he was okay tonight. Like he was a minus 17, which probably doesn't back up my statement there. But I thought it didn't feel like he was really bad. Whereas I think last season it felt like when DiVincenzo shot 1 of 6 from three, it was like, I don't know why this guy's on the court. So I think that's the real or fake thing is, can he keep being impactful even in these games where he's not playing that well? And that's happened not shooting that well, I should say. And that's happened a few times in the last week. Like he shot 1 of 6 against Sacramento in the first Sacramento game. He shot 1 of 4 against Utah in the first Utah game. And none of those games felt like games where you're like, I really just don't want to see Dante on the court anymore. Like it's always felt like he's been a part of this really cohesive offensive unit. And I guess that's what I'm looking forward to seeing more of, or to seeing if it does kind of tail away.
Yeah, I mean, it's not like it's also like who else are you gonna bring in? Maybe I don't really want to see Bones or Rob in 30-minute spurts
Mm-hmm.
instead of Dante. So it's
And
this is who
the
we
thing
got, and
about
he's playing good enough.
And the thing about Dante starting as well is that I think Conley's been really good as a backup point guard. Like
Yeah,
I think unsurprisingly, the old smart point guard fits really well as a backup. Like where you
after a
don't
rough
have
start.
to,
Yeah.
yeah, you don't have to rely on him to be anything more than just like a floor general, give you 15 to 20 minutes every night. Like he played 28 tonight, but he had 5 points and 0 assists. And again, it didn't feel like the the thing it felt like last season when it was like where I was just frustrated all the time that the starting point guard, the guy that's playing a ton of minutes next to Anthony Edwards, is giving you 4 points a game. Like, and now it feels like, all right, well, if Mike doesn't have his greatest night, he's still just a backup point guard and he can still bring those Mike Conley things that he always brings. So I think that after a rough start, that point guard, I would say quote unquote point guard, because I think even when Mike's on the court, like with Julius and Ant, he's not the point guard. He's just a spot up shooter. Um, but yeah, that dynamic of the point guard, I think is starting to work out really well. And even on a bad night like this one against Denver, where both Mike and Dante didn't have their best games by any means, like they still don't feel like a huge problem to me right now.
All right, I'm with you. Okay, moving on then to the under the radar segment, I suppose, and I'll throw this to you. What do you got? What's been flying under the radar for these Wolves that you think needs more attention, positive or negative?
I think, well, I'm going to lean positive here. I think this is a part of the offense that I think has been under the radar. Obviously, the offense has been really good this season. I've been really impressed with the way that it's working, both from a player standpoint and from a system standpoint. Again, like I said earlier, I think Finch really has this offense working really well. And what I've noticed lately is kind of the way the structure is in this offense really depends on who has the ball and who is running the offense. And I think all three of these things are working. So I think the first one is when Randall's bringing the ball up the court, or when it's a Randall possession, it almost seems like, they have like this checklist of like, all right, this is going to be a Randall possession. When it's a Randall possession, it's quick. Like it's Randall brings the ball up the court, he drives quickly, drive and kick, get to the rim, try and draw a foul. He might get into the post and take a little bit of time by himself, but it's like they know what they're doing really quickly, and then that's working. Obviously, Randall's been awesome both as a scorer and a playmaker. When it's Anthony Edwards with the ball, I think it's this nice blend of like he's running a lot of actions, like he's the head of the snake on a lot of actual play calls, which has been a thing that I've complained about for seasons. Other people have complained about that they're not running enough plays. They are running a lot of plays this season, and when Ant has the ball, they will run a lot of plays. And it's like 50% they're running plays, 50% it's just like Ant doing Ant things. They give him the license to kind of go rogue there in terms of just going to get his own bucket, which is a good thing. That's what all superstars do. And then when it's neither of those guys, when it's either Conley or if it's DiVincenzo, if it's Dillingham, they run actions every single possession. And that's an over exaggeration, but I would say 90% of the possessions that either Ant or Randall aren't handling the ball, even if they're on the court still, but if they're not kind of the initiator on that action, they will run a play, and those plays are working really well as well. So I think that they've kind of found this beautiful rhythm within the offense that they all know what's going on depending on who's dribbling the ball up the court, pretty much. Like, and I think that's been a huge issue in the past with these teams. Like, not they haven't run enough plays. Like they would, yeah, they would not run plays when it was Conley dribbling the ball up, and it would get so stagnant. They would not kind of, they would not run plays when Ant was dribbling the ball up, and it would end up being a lot of Ant ball. And then when Randall, it's so different this season because he does look so much more comfortable. But I don't think when Randall has the ball, they don't run an action. They just kind of let Julius do his thing.
Figure it
Like,
out,
and
yeah.
and his thing can be, just get into a quick handoff with Ant. Like it's a bit of like the free flow Finch mantra, I think, runs through the Julius Randle possessions. And he's really good at it. That's why it works. And I think they've given Ant more structure because I think he needs it. And I think that's leading to him being a better playmaker and choosing, having better spots to score himself when he does decide that this is, Ant time. And then when neither of them have the ball, they can still find good offense because they are running a lot of actions. And I think Denver kind of mucked that up a little bit tonight because they were running that zone. And I just thought they defended really well tonight, Denver, actually. But that's kind of the thing that I've been looking for at the last few games. Is just that I think that this team has a system. Like, that's a system, like it's not just free flow. It's sometimes,
and you've been big on like criticizing Finch for the opposite for a few years.
Yeah,
now.
exactly. And so I think it's worth it when it's working like this. I should point out how good it is working, and I think it's more like the free flow that I think has got them in trouble over the last few seasons. I think that's part of the overall structure now, but it's not just like go out, roll the ball out, and kind of figure it out, which I think has been a little bit of their offense over the last few seasons. So yeah, I think that's really impressive, and I want to see it more against good teams. Like everything.
Yeah, the story, or just like the centerpiece of it all, is just Ant's development in this area, or just, his development to read the game, to play make in general, and to be trusted with the ball in his hands, taking it up the court, to be that guy. Finch has mentioned it a ton already this season, how much he trusts Ant in these spots. And yeah, just him having that development, it's kind of what we talked about all offseason. Like, why aren't they adding a point guard in this and that? And it was just always at the core of that conversation.
Don't get me back
Anthony
on
Edwards' development.
Yeah, don't get me back on my high horse. Like,
you were right. Jake was right.
I know I don't want to take a victory lap, but the offense is the best it's ever been, and Anthony Edwards has played point guard the entire season. Like this,
it's got to be the story of the season on that side of the ball for sure. So
yeah,
super impressive.
And even, like I had someone even before saying like this game proves that Anthony Edwards needs a point guard, and I just think like. I don't see the reason why you would take the ball out of Ant's hands to give it. The example I always use is Tyus Jones, but that's more of an archetype that I'm talking than Tyus himself. But like those guys, you can use Mike Conley as the example. Chris Finch does not want Mike Conley to have the ball more than Anthony Edwards. Or Julius Randle, who at this point can be the same for him, is that they don't need a point guard when those guys are going to handle 80% of the possessions. What they do need, I think, and what they have done is have some actions built into the offense that when it isn't Ant or Julius, they can still get to a really nice action. Like the example that sticks in my mind is last night against the Kings. I don't know if both of the guys were off the floor or if kind of one of them was just chilling in the corner, like it was. But I think they went maybe 4 possessions in a row with Conley, Nas, pick and roll, and then they run like this horns exit kind of set that I've spoke about before, where one player will flare out to the corner off a screen, and then Nas Reed will come and set a ball screen and roll into the space that was just created kind of by that first action. They ran that 4 possessions in a row. It was Nas layup, Nas short roll pass to the corner for a 3, Nas post up one of them, and then the second one was Nas caught it and flowed into a dribble handoff with DiVincenzo for a 3. Like
that's when Nas is on his game, yeah.
Yeah, but none of that really felt like Nas doing his Nas thing. Like watching it, it didn't feel like Nas was on like a hot streak or having a boomlet. He was just involved in the action each play, and obviously it's the Kings. Like, they're not good defensively.
That's the whole thing about this entire podcast is like, oh yeah, they're 0-5 against good teams after all this praise, but it matters. It matters. You got to beat the bad teams.
Exactly, and I don't want. It's hard to. I don't want to wipe away all the positive things from those wins against bad teams either. So I just thought that's when it really stood out to me. And when I went back and watched a bunch of clips from the season, that they do this all the time. Like they run that action, they run a ton. They run a ton of other kind of screening actions for DiVincenzo, or actions where Conley will come up and they can get into like an empty pick and roll with Conley and Gobert. That's been a real theme of this season for me. And yeah, it's a good way to negate not having a point guard, or a star point guard like that. I think that's always been my caveat there is if if I
If you got
don't not want a
Tyrese
point guard.
Halliburton,
Yeah,
yeah.
exactly. Like I just don't want a bad point guard because he's a point guard. When Ant's better than
Malcolm Brogdon.
Ant's better than Malcolm Brogdon at every point guard thing. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? Like I will die on that hill because he's so dynamic, and like teams have to defend Ant like he's Steph Curry. Like whether he has the ball or he doesn't. So yeah, I don't. I'm taking an unwarranted victory lap there, but it's
Pretty
more just
warranted. Yeah.
yeah, it's more just not a tip of the cap to Chris Finch, who I think has got this offense running really well. And even in a game like tonight where it looked kind of horrible, like I bet their offensive rating still wasn't that bad in this game.
Yeah. I'm with you overall. Definitely. The development from Ant, huge. My thing on this segment is a little bit smaller scale. It's just Jalen Clark, man. Under the radar for other teams, I think, in the way he's able to sneak by and get an inbound pass, and just under the radar consistently for the spark he brings to this team. I think Finch is playing him more. We saw him in the first quarter tonight. He's getting around 17 minutes per game. And the three ball has really started to fall. And, before the season, my whole thing was we know what we're going to get from Jalen Clark on defense. Going to be feisty, going to be intense, going to be constant, but he's got to be something on the offensive end. And since the start of November, he's hitting 38.5% from three. Really good. He started off slow, and I was like, ooh, it's hard to play him. But yeah, when TJ Shannon goes down and Ant misses a few games, Jalen Clark has stepped in very nicely defensively. I loved him on Jamal Murray tonight. Murray was just on, and he got the best of him a few times. But overall, Jalen Clark competes, man. He hangs with anyone. He's going to get an inbound steal. He's going to get 2 steals a game. Like, he's great, even if he doesn't get credited. Like, he's going to be involved in turnovers, like a ton of them.
Yeah.
It's hard for me to like overstate how good I think he's been on defense, and he does have a ceiling there because of his size overall, but Jalen Clark for me is someone that just needs to keep playing, even when someone like TJ Shannon gets potentially reinserted into this rotation. Got to keep playing him 15, 17, 18, 20 minutes a night if he's really on, and just depending on what the matchup is. And in a game like this, man, Jamal Murray's got to be mad as hell. Like, Jaden McDaniels has always given him fits. And finally, it's like, all right, Jaden's on the bench, and who is this Jalen Clark guy that's now just pestering me? Like, all right, Nickeil Alexander-Walker's on the Hawks. Great. Who is this? Another one? Really? And man, I thought he played him really well again. He was on tonight, so he's going to score 26. What did he get, 30? I guess I don't.
Felt like he had about 50 at one point. I think he only finished with 23, which, and not, see,
Okay.
You know what's funny is you watch this game and I think we both are like, well, Ant played terribly and Jamal Murray played awesome.
I know,
That's how it felt. Jamal Murray finished with 23 points on 9 of 23 shooting. Anthony Edwards, 26 points on 8 of 23 shooting. Like, and that's not to say one played well and one, that they both played bad or they both played well. It was more just that there was an energy around Murray that I think wasn't there for Ant,
How
and that's
the
why.
hell did he finish with 26 points? Well,
He shot
crazy.
a lot of free throws, and that could be a real or fake
That's a
going
topic,
forward
dude.
as well
Yeah.
as that Ant is shooting free throws. And I mean,
He's got the pump fake lean into it down.
now I see why SGA fans are also mad when people complain, because that was glorious. It was glorious to watch it.
Well, but we've been saying, like, if it's the league meta, like, you gotta do it, unfortunately.
Yeah.
So
yeah, and he's at 6.4 free throws a game before tonight, and that's obviously playing less than 30 minutes a game before
what's
tonight
his career
as well.
high? Do you have that?
His career high was 6.4 2 seasons ago, and he shot 6.3 last season. So he's at about what he's been at, but he's obviously playing before this game tonight. Okay. He was playing about 7 minutes less than he usually does, and then he had 12 free throw attempts in this game too. So he's gonna be at a career high in a career low minutes so far. Yeah, I just think that I don't know how we got there off Jalen Clark, but yeah, like
Me neither. Well, Jamal Murray, Anthony
well,
Edwards,
Jim,
points.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
exactly. That I would like to see the lineup data there because I think that Clark did the best job on Murray tonight, and I didn't think anyone did a terrible job on him. He was just playing really well. Like it just felt like he was kind of, I think
I mean, the
Gobert
the
had
Rob
like
section was not
yeah,
great.
and Rob had a switch on him that he didn't like to, he tried to like tag him and switch back, and no one knew what they were doing, and he like got a layup, and that was those minutes that had no Clark or McDaniels on the court. Like that was when I was really frustrated with Finch because, but yeah, I think that it's hard because not it's almost I'm tempted to say if Clark is making his threes like he is at the moment, or at least making like a respectable amount, he's still going to be a low
To
volume
where,
guy.
yeah, like you can at least
But
give him the ball. Yeah, yeah.
yeah, and I'm tempted to say, well, he needs to play more minutes, but he also just kind of, it does seem like the ball's a little bit more stagnant when he's out there because he doesn't want to put it on the deck because he's not a high volume 3-point shooter. He doesn't want to shoot. Like you can tell he kind of, even though
Tonight,
that shot,
oh my god, it was so funny. He made it from the corner and stood there like, yes,
yeah.
just a corner three.
I wonder maybe as the season progresses, like can they work that into him that like we don't mind. I mean, maybe they do mind, but we don't mind if you shoot kind of 3 of 7 if that's what the game dictates from three, or if you shoot 2 of 7 or one. Like if you are open and we trust that you can shoot the ball. Those little, I might shoot. Nah, actually, I'm going to go and like hand it off to someone else. They do ruin possessions, and I think that's why 23 minutes to me feels pretty like a pretty decent range, like the Nikhil minutes. Like,
Yeah, and that's pretty high. He's been getting consistently like 15 to 17, I think. So
yeah, I think they've got him in a good spot right now. And maybe they just need to. Well, they he might, as the season kind of goes on, be trusted in different moments. Like I would like to see him maybe close a few games if he's shooting the ball well, and if there is a Jamal Murray or an Austin Reeves, like if there's a guy out there who's really cooking them, can he, do they trust him a little more to be a full blown stopper? Which I don't think Finch is like. He's like half of his body is in the water, but he doesn't want to dip his head under yet with Clark.
yeah.
But yeah, I think the rotation in general is in a pretty good spot. Like,
Can I throw tonight? How much do you think the rotation and just like your frustrations were due to maybe back to back and Jade McDaniels getting like beaten last night?
yeah, and that might be it. The minutes were really weird in this game. Like, I think
there's
Finch.
got to be a reason.
I
Hopefully,
think yeah, and well, I think foul trouble was one of them.
true.
Like, Jaden had 5, Gobert had
Nas,
5 or 4.
Rudy, yeah,
Yeah, Nas fouled out. Like, so
that was a funny
I think
foul.
it was more that it was a lot of spanners thrown into the works for Finch, and I just don't think he handled them all
Okay,
very
yeah,
well because the minute distribution was weird. Like Gobert played 18 minutes, McDaniel's played 20, and then Ant and Randall played 43 pretty much
yeah,
each.
that's true. Okay, yeah,
Like
it was rough.
Conley played 28, so it was a weird night rotation wise. I think you're right that maybe some of that like the back-to-back, the foul trouble, was just the way the game was going, probably dictated like Finch's decisions more than I'm giving him credit for.
All right. I mean, not like I want to give up an excuse. They easily could have and probably should have won that game. It was there for the taking. 92-92 with 9 minutes to go, and they lost by
Mm-hmm.
54 points. So that's unfortunate.
Yeah,
But
and just keep it close. Like I think that's what's been
no,
annoying in these. Like they haven't even had a close. Like we haven't even had a nice, fun final 3 minutes against a good team yet. Like maybe
do you
that
count the
second.
Lakers game?
I mean that maybe, but it was like no Ant, no Luca, no
Oh yeah,
LeBron.
true. No
So
Ant
it
either.
was
Okay,
kind of a like.
throwaway.
I mean, if they won that game, I'd count it. But since they lost, then I'm not counting it.
Especially the way it went down. Yeah.
Yeah. So like it's I don't know. They haven't given us even a fun end to a game against a good team because that would maybe
I know.
at
Tonight
least
I thought we were gonna get it, and it was just the most miserable 8 minutes I've ever
and
seen.
and that was a fun game for a lot of the game until kind of that last 8 minutes. Like apart from the refs who I thought were awful in that game, both ways, but mainly like I thought Denver got the rub of the green. But in general, like that game was
There
really
were a
fun until it
few, but
wasn't.
the Wolves got those 3 steals in a row. All three of those,
Yeah,
maybe could
yeah.
have been fine. And the Julius to end the first half was able he pushed the guy with two.
I did think to their credit, the refs kind of we're a bit fed up with Jokic flailing around every
True.
time someone
Okay.
touches him, like because he's a big baby when he does a bad thing maybe 3 times an entire game, like everything else is completely perfect. And on all 3 of those bad things, he complains so much.
Yep.
Like it's like he's surprised that anything could ever go wrong for Nikola Jokic, which I would be too if I was as good at basketball as him.
Where does Jokic rank on like your watchability for these superstars in the league? You know what I mean? Like you got
Um,
Luca, SGA, Wemby now, Ant. I mean, Ant's with the Wolves, so
Yeah,
exclude
and
him.
yeah, I'll exclude him because obviously, like, he is both of our favorite in that group. I would have Jokic behind Wemby. I think he, like, in terms of watchability, not in terms of player.
Of course.
Clearly,
Yeah.
I think Wemby's actually a little bit overrated, to be honest. Like, I think Ant's a better player than Wemby. Like, and that might be biased, but
I'd put
I
Ant
think
5 and Wemby 6 probably or something like
yeah,
that.
I mean better. Yeah, as in like I think that I
Marginally.
just saw a thing the other day about the clear top 5 in the league, and I thought I don't know, man. Is it just because Wemby's really tall? Because he played about 5 bad games in a row in the middle of the season. Like
His really good games are really loud. Like when he's
yeah, well,
on,
and
he's on.
and he has like 5. Even in his bad games, he has like 5 moments in a game where you're like,
Yep.
no one's ever done that in NBA history. Um, but yeah, I think Jokic. Like, I love watching Jokic.
Same.
I hate watching him against the Wolves because he's just like,
Because
I
their
just sit
best,
there,
the defensive player of the year, literally doesn't even know what he's looking at. But yeah.
and I'm so frustrated. Like, frustrated in terms of just like shake your head, like not
Yep.
frustrated like you are against SGA, where you're like, I think we could be doing a better job here if he wasn't being rewarded for flopping, and also being a great player at the same time. Whereas Jokic, I feel like it's like it's a shock when he misses a shot. Like
Yeah.
I was thinking that today during the game that every time he misses a shot, I think of any player in the league, I'm like, oh my god, like especially if it's one of those little floaters in the mid, that short mid range floater. Like
Yeah.
if that misses, I'm like, oh, like
I still love when he takes a three because I don't love a three for Jokic
mhm,
when he can pass the ball and for some reason the guy is just going to make it whenever Jokic
yeah,
passes it. I'll take a three from Jokic. He's gonna shoot 50% against the Wolves, but whatever.
yeah.
Fire
I
that.
feel like in that game 7, he missed like 5 threes in the second
Yep.
half. I feel like he kind of gave up in that game. Like he just couldn't be bothered doing anything but shooting. But yeah, he's an awesome player. Like even we've been talking a lot in this game about in this podcast about the impact of these bad games or guys still feeling kind of viable even when they're not playing that well, like Dante or Mike in this game. Like, yeah, Jokic was not very good in this game for his standards. Like, for his good game, and he was still probably the best player on the court. So
My favorite
he,
play was actually the when Julius Randle went in for the layup and Jokic just set a screen and then didn't set a screen anymore and he got the and one. It was like, oh my god, this guy's horrible on defense sometimes. And he's still the
he,
best player on earth.
yeah, he just doesn't try on
Yeah.
defense. Like 50% of the time, he did. Like I read a stat or a podcast or something that they're on track to break the 3 seconds.
Yeah, what
Like
the hell was that? He had like four of them tonight.
that's happened in every game, and they don't care. Like apparently the coaching staff is like encouraging it because they won't call them more than 3 or 4 times in a game. Most games they'll call it maybe once or twice, but if they will just let Jokic stand in the paint. Like the team wants him to stand there for as long as he can, and if he gets called for a few defensive violations, they're okay with that, which is kind of
Interesting.
interesting. Like that they're just like if he doesn't move, we probably will win. Like because he can give up 20
Yeah.
points a game on defense, and he'll still the net
Yeah.
benefit of that will still be huge in his favor. So, yeah, we're rambling now, but
I
I just
mean,
thought,
I'll talk about Jokic. Like he's the best player on the
yeah,
earth. Like, oof.
he's probably like I don't know. Apart from LeBron, maybe like I'm 30, so I wasn't quite old enough to like appreciate MJ.
Sure.
I think apart from that, he's the best player I've ever seen. Like I think apart from LeBron, prime LeBron, I don't think anyone that I've seen has ever been as good as Jokic. And even then, like I think in terms of like just one possession kind of magic, he's almost as good as LeBron ever was. Like LeBron has
Dude,
the
yeah.
resume and is a better player. Like he's a better, greater player in the league. But I just think you can tune into any Jokic game, and a bit like Wemby, when you watch it, you just like, can anyone else in the league do the things he doesn't? He just does like naturally.
Yeah, and he can make the passing, man. I love a good pass. So when he
Hmm.
flares one out, no look to the corner, Jamal Murray, I'm like, it's
He had a
beautiful. It's
pass, and he had a
beautiful.
pass in the first game against the Wolves where he like threw it like it was like round the back, like he was coming off a pick and roll, and someone had cut baseline. Like I don't know how to explain it. Like he's facing the opposite direction, so he's facing the right of the court, and someone cut from the left like corner,
Yeah.
and
Okay.
he
Yep.
threw a
Yep.
round the back
It's like,
pass
how does he even
away,
see it?
yeah, away from the pick and roll bounce pass, like, and it was like what the actual f, like
And he does it every game. Yeah.
every single game. Yeah, that's normal. Like I don't know, the people in Denver are probably like numb to this shit,
Ugh,
but yeah,
we got Ant. I'll take Ant. Like Ant's great. Anyways,
yeah.
I mean, I won't take Ant if I had to choose between the two of them, but like, anyways, that's I guess all we've got for this
Do
episode.
you want to
I was
quickly do some predictions?
I was wondering, are we doing 20 more minutes on a different thing, or are we doing picks right now?
Um,
You can
we can
call
do
it.
it. We can do another episode. Maybe we'll
All
do a
right.
quick another
All
episode.
right. All right.
Okay.
That's our production meeting, everyone. Hope you all enjoyed that. Anyway, yeah, go check out our next episode where we predict the games for the week. It's there's some fun ones, so we'll do that. But yeah, any other big broad takeaways before we get out of here?
No, I feel like we've hit on about 100 different things. We
See,
tried to
that's
keep.
that's the goal.
We had the
No,
structure, but
I
there
like
was
the
still.
structure of 6 total things though because it allows us to like branch off to 15 different things, and that's kind of my style. If I don't touch on every player, I'm like, oh god.
Mhm. Yeah, yeah. We're just like scattergun approach. We just
Yep,
shoot, an AK-47 of takes.
and it works. Well, or it doesn't. I don't know. We'll see if anyone watches. But appreciate you guys, and yeah, go check out the next episode. See you later.
Peace.